So managing that question, you recognise the person for asking the question and thank them.
Should you repeat it?
I'm just going to get to that.
Okay.
Yep, Paul, absolutely. And repeat the question back to the whole audience, so the whole audience hears the question, and then you go forth with responding to the question. And thank the person again for asking the question. And then make a non-verbal gesture, open, perhaps put your hand in the air. Anybody else got any thoughts, ideas, questions? We've got a few minutes left. Oh, thanks. Somebody up here. Thanks. Okay, listen. Yep. All right. Thanks. The gentleman over there's asked a really good question about allocating times to the philosophy. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you've told them. Again, repeat that question back and respond to it.
Okay. Should you ask the audience questions yourself?
Yeah, for sure. You certainly should.
How would you normally do that? Would show of hands, for example, or point someone out and say, you, who's looking at their handouts? I've got a question for you. Is that something that's a good thing to do, or an ethical thing to do?
It's an extremely good thing to do in terms of building rapport and getting the audience on side.
Yeah.
And painting this picture, we're in a room of 100 people. At the start of your presentation, for instance, you could ask the audience a question. Who here has come from outside of this city? Show me your hands. And you put your hand up too as a non-verbal gesture.
Okay.
And as you see people put up their hands, say higher, okay, fantastic. And then repeat it back. Okay, we've got about half the audience that are living outside the city. They come from somewhere else. Thank you. Can I see a show of hands, please? Who's looking forward to lunch, or whatever the question might be, something fairly simple, and everybody will put up their hand and say thank you.
Right, okay. Can I look? We're probably coming to the pointy end of this discussion, and there's a hell of a lot that you could probably add and talk on each of these themes we've covered. I suppose what I wanted to move to is that let's look at both how you would craft the beginning and the end, because it would seem to me that it's very, very important that you have both a compelling and a memorable opening and a closing for a speech, because often that's the opening will be, right, okay, I'm engaged, I'm interested in this. But the closing is also incredibly important. So do you have any strategies for crafting a compelling and memorable opening and, for that matter, closing for a speech?
Well, some of the public speakers I've seen do very effectively give an example or tell a brief story at the beginning of their presentation. And it could be the first words that come out of their mouth. For example, I recall seeing a person do a great presentation at a eulogy. At a funeral. The eulogy was, and he talked about the Melbourne cricket ground and how the family would go there. And he painted this picture of the MCG bathed in beautiful sunshine. The stadiums that could hold 100,000 people were virtually empty. And the audience just took themselves to that very spot. That beautiful spring day in Melbourne, the sun beaming down on the MCG, that beautiful green grass.
Yeah, I've got the image in my head already.
Yes. That's a really effective way. If you're perhaps, Paul, for instance, in your industry, you might open up with an example or a situation where a person has been harassed. Now, you might open up with a fairly graphic example or a story. Straight away, all of a sudden, the audience are listening, and you say, well, look, after that, I'm going to give you some strategies so this doesn't happen to you in terms of risk management.
Yeah, okay. Look, stories are good because that's what people are interested in, real stories, aren't they?
Indeed. And so that at the beginning, you could potentially just recap on that at the end also. But also the notion at the end, in terms of closing, have some sort of call for action. What are you going to do now as a result of the content that we've shared today?
Okay. Yeah, call to arms. I like that. That's a good way of phrasing it, because you do want your audience to leave, not just to forget what you've just said or leave it in the back pocket, but to actually go ahead and do something.
Indeed.
That you on the topic you've been discussing. Okay, Kevin, look, this has been a fantastic discussion. I suppose I just want to finish off with a bit of a free form, whether there's any final tips, maybe that we haven't covered, that you can, I suppose, in a few simple tips about public speaking that you think are the call to arms that you would ask our audience to take away from this discussion.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. A couple of key points I'd like to finish up with and remind our listeners of is do your research on the homework of your audience, for one, so you can start to get into their head or into their walk in their shoes. The other one is just practice, and you practice and you just practice some more. You practice, you go through the presentation in a physical sense, you verbalize it and do it. And then you start to mentally rehearse yourself doing it. Mentally rehearse and see and feel how calm and confident you are in front of the audience. See yourself there poised, using the appropriate words and articulating your ideas and thoughts well. See it in your mind. Consider those things we talked about, that things can go wrong. And also endeavour to have fun, and please, don't get that mixed up. Don't try and be funny, but try to enjoy yourself and have fun. People invariably sneeze or cough or laugh at something. Join in with it. You're all together as one in this journey of learning, and your audience do want you to perform well. And please don't tell your audience that you're nervous. Please don't tell your audience that this is your first time or you're new at this. Please don't tell your audience that to be kind to you. Don't go down that mental path. Just take control and enjoy yourself.
Okay, look, that's great. And I've just written those down. So I suppose just to go through those again, and I'll just summarise, and I hope I've captured what you've just said. First thing is know your audience. Research your audience. You've got to do your homework. 2, practice what you're going to say. And then there's the mental rehearsal, and that is as much to reflect on your style as much as the content, so that you can visualize in your mind how you're going to deliver this and the way in which you're going to deliver it. Be ready for things that might go wrong is another thing. And then finally, I like the last one, is have fun with it. Okay? And that is to have fun with your audience. If you're having fun, then they'll have fun. That's great advice, Kevin, and I think that's been really terrific. So thanks for that. And I think anyone who picks up some of those tips and what you've discussed today will be a better public speaker.
Absolutely. And also, I might add, if I may, a couple of options for people in relation to professional development. There's a number of organisations and associations across community that you can join and participate in that support people in improving their public speaking skills. Some of you have probably heard of Toastmasters.
Yep.
Which are fantastic to...
They've been around for a long time, haven't they?
They have, and they're all over the world.
Yeah.
The National Speakers Association of your country, a lot of countries have this organisation, so look for their content, their contact details. A number of courses in your local universities, TAFE colleges will have courses on public speaking.
Okay.
And also a number of online programs and so forth that you can learn from.
Okay.
And if you have a favourite speaker or you're familiar or you get recommended, have a look at them on YouTube. These people that we used to have to go to large auditoriums to see and hear, we can now see them on YouTube. So the opportunities for you to develop your skills are fantastic. So take the opportunity and do it.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. That's fantastic. Thanks, viewers. Sorry, viewers. Listeners.
Listeners, yeah. Good to have you.
Maybe one day, viewers, Kevin. We'll see how we go.
Indeed.
It might be a shock to see us, so we'll stick to audio at the moment.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode.